In a previous episode of Tales from the IE, we talked about how, for over 30 years, the Swing Auditorium in San Bernardino, California, was the go-to venue to hold large-scale concerts and events in the Inland Empire. The caliber of artists to appear at the Swing was extremely high. Over 60 were eventually inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Here's a partial list from A. Alice Cooper to Z. Frank Zappa. But it all came to an end on September 11, 1981, when a twin-engine Cessna 310 plane crashed into the building, instantly killing the pilot and his passenger. The day after the crash, it was front-page news in the San Bernardino Sun newspaper. This photo was the Inland Empire's first glimpse at the damaged interior of the Swing. The article reported that the dead were the pilot of the plane, Roderick Frazier, and his son-in-law, Suhail Saloom. Frazier was the owner of the Don Jose restaurant chain. The pair were flying from Las Vegas, Nevada, to their home in Orange County. The Sunday, September 13th front page reported that the Swing Auditorium could be demolished because it was not insured for an accident like this. The article also reported that 2 workers inside the building at the time of the crash were not injured. The 2 men were video technicians setting up a closed-circuit TV screen for a championship boxing match. The Sunday Sun also carried a photo essay of the damage. The text read in part, "The day after a freakish airplane crash, a damaged Swing Auditorium was still a center of activity Saturday. City workers used tractors to clear out broken benches and twisted railings. A county coroner sifted through the water-drenched rubble, still looking for body parts of the 2 men who perished in the accident. Carpenters began boarding up holes where the auditorium's doors once hung, and a chain-link fence was wrapped around the circumference of the 43,000-square-foot hall to keep the curious outside. The splintered wreckage of the twin-engine airplane had been hauled away before dawn Saturday, but the immense hole in the auditorium's southeast corner served as a vivid reminder of the accident's impact." The September 17th Sun newspaper reported the accident cost the building the chance to stage a proposed October concert by the Rolling Stones during their fall 1981 tour. Representatives of the band contacted local officials as to the availability of the facility and were told it was unusable. It would have been the band's 5th appearance in the venue following 4 mid-1960s shows. On September 15th, it was reported that the coroner determined that the pilot suffered a blood clot in his lower aorta, paralyzing him from the waist down and causing him to lose control of the plane. On September 17th, National Orange Show management still wasn't sure if the Swing would be repaired or would have to be demolished. Engineers from California's Division of Fairs and Expositions examined the structure but would not comment until a complete structural examination was made. On October 21st, it was reported that the National Orange Show Board of Directors okayed the filing of a $10 million lawsuit against the estate of the late Roderick Frazier, pilot of the plane. Meanwhile, in mid-November, Sven Nielsen, a structural engineer hired by the National Orange Show Board of Directors, said the Swing Auditorium could be repaired, but gave no estimate of the cost. National Orange Show management wanted to see an estimate before deciding on the fate of the Swing Auditorium. On January 7, 1982, it was reported that structural engineer Sven Nielsen estimated that the Swing could be repaired for $2.5 million, or torn down and replaced with a new building for $6.5 million. National Orange Show manager Joe Brosmer said a decision would be made within a month. On February 10, 1982, The Sun reported that the Orange Show Board of Directors had decided to tear down the Swing Auditorium, but made no commitment to replace it with a new building. The board apparently was concerned that repairs could not be made in time for the April 29th opening of the National Orange Show, when thousands of people would be attending on the grounds. The February 12, 1982 Sun editorial page bemoaned the upcoming loss of the Swing Auditorium, calling it an era gone. March 2nd, 1982, it was reported that the bulldozing of the Swing Auditorium had begun. It was estimated that the job would be completed by April 1st, in time for the beginning of the 1982 National Orange Show. In the March 25, 1982 issue of The Sun, a photo essay revealed how the demolition of the swing was progressing. The text of the article read, "Bob Hope tried to bring the house down with his jokes. Elvis Presley tried to lift its rafters with his songs. Rock and roll fans once broke through its doors to get a look at guitar hero Jimi Hendrix. But nothing ever permanently scathed 33-year-old Swing Auditorium until a twin-engine Cessna airplane crashed through its roof last September and exploded." Wrecking crews were busy finishing the job this week, cutting and smashing away at the damaged steel and sheet metal auditorium, and hauling away any salvageable material from the National Orange Show grounds. Orange Show officials said the wrecking work will be completed in time for this year's annual exposition, scheduled to begin April 29th. Once the debris is cleared, they said, the 66,000 square foot site will be used for outdoor exhibits at the fair. No definite plans have yet been made to build a new auditorium to replace the non-insured Swing Auditorium, which was the fairground's primary entertainment facility and the largest independent source of revenue since its dedication in 1949. And so the Swing Auditorium became part of IE history. All that was left was for the $10 million lawsuit against the estate of the pilot to be filed and litigated. That lawsuit wasn't filed until April 1983. It alleged that the pilot was not medically qualified under federal regulations to fly because his medical history included 2 recent cancer surgeries and a 30-year high blood pressure condition. On June 28th, The Sun reported that an Orange County physician testified that the pilot had passed his last 5 federally required medical tests and was cleared for flight. Finally, on June 29, 1983, it was reported that the National Orange Show Board of Directors' case against the estate of the pilot was settled out of court. As part of the settlement, both sides agreed not to reveal the dollar amount. However, some investigative reporting by Sun staff writer Carl Yetzer revealed in the July 22, 1983 edition, estimated the settlement was between $1.2 and $1.3 million. This amount was far below the $10 million the National Orange Show was seeking from the estate of the pilot. In the August 9, 1983 Sun newspaper, Orange Show Secretary-Manager Joe Brosmer and Chairman of the Orange Show Gil Snyder talked to the press about the settlement. The article read, "Brosmer and Snyder also disclosed for the first time the actual dollar amount of the settlement reached in the Swing Auditorium suit, $1,343,268.64, reversing a previous agreement reached between the parties to keep the actual terms of the settlement confidential. While the results of the suit were disappointing," Snyder said, "as a community, we must not be disappointed in the Orange Show. I suppose it's always sort of a crapshoot when you go into a trial. We're not blaming anybody. We were all encouraged up until about the last 3 weeks of the trial," he said. "And then it appeared that if we had gone all the way to the conclusion, we would not have gotten what we got. Since the Swing Auditorium was demolished, 2 permanent large-capacity concert venues appeared in the Inland Empire to take its place. In 1993, San Bernardino DeVore's blockbuster pavilion, Glen Helen Amphitheater, opened. In 2008, Ontario's Citizens Business Bank Toyota Arena came online. Both venues could seat around 10,000 spectators. However, the Glen Helen Amphitheater could expand its capacity to 65,000 if the grassy area behind the permanent seating section was used. It's now been over 40 years since the demolition of the Swing Auditorium. The space it occupied on the National Orange Show Fairgrounds is still empty and will probably remain that way for the foreseeable future.